Want to give this a shot? So, would you consider yourself an open-minded person?
I try to.
Right. From 1 through 10, how open-minded would you say?
I try to look at bright, so I would say I have my thoughts, so I would say I am a 7.
Okay, that's good. I mean, yeah. You guys want to give it a shot? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, would you guys consider yourself open-minded? Yeah, right. From 1 through 10, how open-minded would you say you are? Okay, that's really good. How about you? Okay. So let's say. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's up? What is this?
So I'm actually, challenging the students' beliefs basically to see how open-minded they are. Would you consider yourself an open-minded person?
I think so.
Yeah, right. From 1 through 10, how open-minded would you say you are?
What's the definition of open-minded?
So in my opinion, being open-minded is someone that's actually open to always learning something new because they admit that they don't know everything. Right? Someone that's closed-minded will be the opposite. They think they know everything, so they're not open to anything that contradicts what they already believe. Right?
I see. Okay.
So
I think I would want to say I'm a high number.
Right.
I think personally, I'm a stubborn and a sure thinker. So if I'm being honest, I'd probably put a 4.
A 4. Okay, so below average.
But I would want to be more open-minded.
Okay, sure. Say that your entire life and existence was based on a lie, would you want to know about it, or would you rather continue living in ignorance? You want to know about it, right? All right, cool. So that's why I'm here. So, do you guys believe the Earth is a ball in outer space? Do you guys believe the Earth is a ball in outer space? Yeah. So let me ask you this. This will show how open-minded you would really want to be. If your entire life and existence was based on a lie, would you want to know, or would you rather continue living a lie?
Yeah, I'd want to know.
You want to know, right? So maybe that's being open-minded, right? So this is the main reason why I'm here. Do you believe the Earth is a ball in outer space? Yes. So this is why I'm here. Do you believe the Earth is a ball? Right? So if I was to tell you, like NASA, this is an official NASA image from 2012, and they admit that they don't take real photographs of the Earth. So they admit that a real photograph of the Earth doesn't exist. They're all CGI. So if I was to ask you, why do you think that is?
Why is it CGI?
Why are all photographs from Earth as a ball CGI?
Well, maybe because they are trying to put this image of everyone saying, oh yeah, this is how the Earth is.
Right.
Because everyone's so used to the image of a ball. It's like, oh, okay, we're just trying to make it more.
Okay, sure. I would say that's feasible. This is an official NASA image, and they admit that they don't take real photographs of the Earth. So all the images that they present to us are all CGI. You guys know what CGI is, right? So, in other words, a real photograph of the Earth as a ball doesn't exist. So if I was to ask you guys, why do you think that is?
Yeah, I've never
thought about it before?
Had like an in-depth study about that. I just know that based on it's part of a bigger narrative. Basically.
Right. Okay.
So if I know where the sun is, I know that exists. I know where the moon is, I know that exists.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
I can see that with my own eyes.
Sure, I agree.
That if I were to believe what school tells me about the Earth being a ball, the sun being this, and the moon being this, then it also explains how the plants and the waves work and everything else that I know already. So it just seemed like the explanation that I accepted.
Okay, cool.
Like, okay, everything fits.
Okay, okay. So you would say explanations is what kind of like convinced you that it's a ball?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. This is an official NASA image from 2012, and they admit that they don't take real photographs of the Earth. So every image that they produce, they're all CGI. You know what CGI is, right? It's a composite. So if I was to ask you, why do you think that a real photograph of the Earth from space doesn't exist?
Why it doesn't
Why
exist?
it doesn't exist. So they basically admit that all of them are CGI.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, my first assumption would be that I think it is true that it's a sphere, and so then I'd be trying to rationalize why they might be prone to want to do CGI.
Exactly, opposed to showing the real thing. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So maybe there's things about the color that would look off if they took a real picture, or something about trying to collect a real image would maybe strike us as a surprise from what we'd anticipate. So, but that's operating under the assumption that it is already a sphere.
I'm glad you actually acknowledge that, because a lot of people wouldn't. But okay, so if I gave you an explanation that I could fly, right? And I gave you a really good explanation, right? That I have to jump, at a certain degree, and have to jump with 20 pounds of force to be able to. So if I give you a really good explanation that I could fly, would you believe I could fly? No, right? Why?
Because it doesn't fit with the rest of the narrative.
I would say because it defies physics. So if you claim to me that you could fly, I would say that defies physics. It's like me claiming I could walk through a wall. Will you believe I could walk through a wall? No, why? Because it defies physics, right? So this image actually defies physics. So basically what you're saying is, in your mind, is maybe it's because to give a better perspective.
My car can't do that.
No, yeah. So to give a better representation, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Okay. So the real reason, okay, before I get to the real reason why this, real photograph. So if I was to tell you that I can walk through walls, would you believe I could do that?
I would not.
No. What if I showed you a video of me walking through walls?
I would not believe it.
Why wouldn't you believe that?
Because I haven't seen it before.
Like, could we say though that defies physics?
That walking through walls
Walking
defies
through walls,
physics? Yes.
Yeah, because two pieces of matter cannot occupy the same space at the same time.
Right.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the globe Earth images, these actually defy physics. Right? The real reason why a photograph of the Earth as a ball doesn't exist is because, first of all, NASA claims to have satellites orbiting the Earth, right? So they need to know the radius of orbit if they're supposedly going around it, right? So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles, which means there has to be curvature every mile, right? And every mile has to increase. So in the first mile is an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile there should be 6 feet of curvature. So if we went out to a giant body of water like a lake that was contained and at rest, we should be able to physically measure this curvature, 6 feet and 3 miles. But the physics of water, again, when it's contained, level, and at rest, shows us that the surface is always going to be a horizontal, that being level. You know what I'm saying? So a physical measurement of the Earth, water in specific, will debunk the ball Earth claim. So if we went out to a giant body of water like a lake, that was at rest, to physically measure for this curvature, they're trying to tell us that body of water is bending 6 feet and 3 miles. But we understand the physics of water, again, exactly, water is always level when at rest and when it's contained. It doesn't have the physical ability to bend, I guess, because water always finds its level. It's one of the physical properties of water. So water will be the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth claim. So if we went to a giant body of water like a lake that was, miles across and at rest, they're telling us that the surface of water is bending 6 feet and 3 miles and increasing more and more. But reality, water, the physics of water shows us that when water is contained and at rest, it always forms a level surface. Yeah, so the surface of water it doesn't bend. It's a physical impossibility for water. Again, once water is contained and at rest, like in a pool, the surface of that water will never bend because, again, it's one of the properties of water. You know what I'm saying? So this will be the number one experiment to debunk the globe Earth, a physical measurement of the Earth, water in specific. Because if you believe the Earth is a ball like this with oceans warping all around it, then that curvature has to be measurable from the surface of water, right? And again, a physical measurement debunks that claim. So if I was to ask you guys respectfully, what's the number one proof or reason that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball? So if I was to ask you respectfully, what's the number one proof or reason that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
That's pretty honest, man. That's pretty honest. So again, water being the number one proof to debunk the globe. A lot of people would say images, but again, an image that defies physics shouldn't be taken serious, especially if they admit there's CGI, right? So if I was to ask you respectfully, what's the number one proof that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball?
For me, I would say how they have to take documentary pictures of Earth, and how they were saying here's perfect images outside the Earth range, or just reading articles that have read for science around those.
Okay, so images, would you say, right?
Yeah, images most likely.
Most likely, yeah. So,
I didn't have a number one. No,
okay, or any reason, I guess. I mean, you could be honest and be like, that's just what I was told. Or a lot of people do say that.
Well, I mean, to talk about the water thing.
Sure.
If so, it's level as long as it's in the flat bottle, right?
No, that's the thing, though.
Gravity applies around the entire spherical Earth,
right?
And so, at any point, you could say like a circle. You could have tangent lines along any point of the circle.
Sure. But then those tangent lines won't bend. Though, that's the thing. And again, so again, another thing is when we're looking at the horizon. This is from 20 miles in the sky, which is 4 times higher than airplanes. How would you describe the horizon?
When I look at this?
Yeah, when you're looking at this, how would you describe the horizon? Geometrically.
Geometrically. Here, it looks flat.
Horizontal?
Yeah.
Could we say? You know?
Yeah, horizontal, yeah.
Yeah, I would say the word horizon comes from the word horizontal.
Interesting.
You know?
Yeah, really interesting.
Again, horizontal
okay.
being level. I don't know if you knew, horizontal is actually the one word definition for level.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the one word. So the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth, again, is through CGI images, in other words, cartoons like this, or through GoPro cameras that warp horizontal lines with a wide angle, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you've seen many of these, right?
I think so.
So again, physically, curvature of the Earth doesn't exist, right? So again, we go back to NASA admitting that there's no real photographs of the Earth and they're all composites, they're all CGI technically. Since obviously, since they admit that, is there anything else besides images? Because obviously, if I showed you an image of me flying, for example,
It could be CGI.
Exactly.
Well, I would say a person that is studying in that field per se, who spent their time like trying to understand the Earth.
Exactly.
Companies okay, but like well-known companies that have been out there in the air, maybe not. Well, NASA, yeah, but people who like astronomers, physicists, around those fields.
Okay. So I would say, so you say that you have trust that these people have proven it.
They've been in this industry for like years.
Okay. So again, it comes back to you just believe that you have trust and faith that these people, these experts, proved it somehow, right? Would that be fair to say, right? Okay. I'm glad you brought up gravity. The irony, a lot of people think gravity proves the globe. The fact is, gravity actually, the real cause of gravity actually debunks the globe. You want to know how? I know how that is. So, if I was to ask you, what is gravity? What is gravity?
It's intangible force, just formed under the law of nature that as long as something has mass, it has attraction.
Right. Force. You could say gravity is a force, right? So if I was to ask you, what is a force?
So I don't know that.
No, it's very simple. So a force is a push, or they also claim is a pull, right?
Okay.
But the fact is, only one of those exists, which is a push. So them claiming that, again, a force is a pull, that means they're claiming that I can move this object without pushing it. But that's impossible. I cannot move it without touching it. But they're claiming that there's this magical force that can grab it and move it, right? The fact is, only push exists, which as a force, so through pressure variance. So the fact is, the Earth is actually pushing up against your feet right now. It's not you being pushed down to the Earth. So again, the Earth is a level plane that's in constant motion. So the Earth is pushing up against you. That's what gravity is, basically. So again, this idea of a pulling force, that when you release this object, this accelerates down, it's bullshit. It's the Earth that's coming up into contact with it again. So when you're holding this or putting it on the table, everything's in motion right now. That's why it has weight. You put a scale under these, you'll be able to measure the weight. Exactly, the force of the push of the Earth. If I was to ask you, is there a possibility that we have been lied to at a mass scale about what the Earth actually is, or are you 100% convinced that it's the
Sure, there could be, yeah.
Oh, it's a possibility,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, a lot of people will be. You see, you're actually pretty open-minded, even though you said you were low. A lot of people say they're at 8 or 9, but then automatically, oh no, it's 100% a globe. There's no way, So the fact that you acknowledge that maybe there is a possibility, just shows me that you are open-minded. You're not so, you're not just married to the ball, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So again, do you have any questions for me?
Sure. Is this to check? Obviously, it's checked open-mindedness.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you personally believe that the Earth is a sphere or that it's flat?
No. So I go with, when it comes to people making claims about my objective reality, again, somebody walking through walls, I know that's bullshit. Somebody claiming that they can fly, I know that's bullshit because that defies. So again, somebody claiming that the surface of water can bend, again, it defies physics. So again, I go with what I understand. So I know the Earth is a level plane, and it's not flat. I know you've heard of flat Earth, right? So flat Earth is a psyop. Over 95% of the flat Earthers are falling into it. And I'm gonna tell you the difference between flat and level. So flat has nothing to do with orientation, but the Earth does have orientation. So the Earth has orientation because it's in constant motion. So again, Earth is level relative to the motion vector, which is the vertical.
Yeah.
So again, the Earth is pushing up against you right now. It's not you being pulled down to the Earth.
Yep.
So that's what gravity would be. It's a pushing force of the Earth's motion, not a pulling force. Pulling forces don't exist.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why gravity as a pulling force is just a theory, and it's always just going to be a theory.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, you know. Yeah, so again, when it comes to it, again, if they're making a physical claim about the Earth, again, the physics of it that it supposedly is bending, I go with practicality, right? Again, physics, water. So if you're making a claim to me that water bends at a certain distance, we should be able to physically measure that. So again, all these experts, if they're claiming things that contradict my basic understanding of reality, like if somebody claimed to me like, oh, I can walk through walls, right? And here's a video of me walking through walls, I'm not gonna believe that because that's a physical impossibility. And it doesn't matter how many experts or scientists tell me this, I'm not gonna believe it because I understand that that's a physical impossibility, especially if you can reproduce it in front of me, you know, like using the scientific method, measurable, testable, repeatable, right? So again, when it comes back to the physics of water, they're claiming that it could bend, you know, but that's a physical impossibility. Water always finds its level once contained, and water cannot stick to the outside of a object, for example. It needs to be contained from the outside, you know. It's not the opposite. Water can stick to the outside of containers, you know. Containers have to contain water. Yeah, you know, it's in the name, right?
But so Earth is still in space.
Well, that's the thing. Space as a vacuum with other planets, that's bullshit. But it has to exist somewhere. So what's outside of the Earth? I don't know.
Okay.
That's a mystery.
The Earth is then...
It's basically moving up like this, but not moving straight up. It's actually, in my opinion, is in some kind of cycle. You want to know why I know that? Or why I think that? You guys know the high tide and the low tide, right? So the high tide and the low tide is basically a horizontal movement of water. So the oceans are always moving. I don't know if you knew that. And that's the definition, the horizontal movement of water. So the water is simply reorientating itself. That's what the high tide and the low tide are. That shows me that the Earth is not going in a straight line because the water is always reorientating relative to the motion vector. So that's why we have a high tide and a low tide.
If the Earth is like moving like this,
yes.
Is that really like contradicting of the theory that's already orbiting in space?
Oh yeah. So the sun, it's not a ball in space and we're orbiting around. The sun is within the Earth's system. So the sun and the moon are part of the Earth's system, and it's being contained. So what is this container that's containing the air from escaping? I don't know. Some people do call it firmament. Again, I don't make claims I don't know, but I do know air pressure needs to be maintained in order to have air pressure. You know, the air needs to be maintained. That's a fact. You know, that's the second law of thermodynamics having to do with entropy. That defies, you know, that contradicts their claim about outer space, basically. You know?
Interesting.
So
did you mention religion earlier?
I did mention religion, how the globe Earth is a religion, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because religions are all based on faith. They're all based on their belief systems.
Yes, the assurance of things not seen.
Exactly. So globe Earth is the same thing. And another thing about religions, all religions tell you a story of creation, and obviously what the Earth actually is. That's what the heliocentric model tries to tell us too, with evolution and the Big Bang. Again, a creation story, and also telling us what the Earth actually is. And the fact is, nobody knows exactly what this place is, other than the surface being level, and nobody knows how far it extends. That's another mystery.
Yeah. Okay.
So, you know, that's why I'm out here to try to you know, get people thinking.
And, So what woke you up this morning to say that this is worth it to like come sit out here and
This is not my first time doing this.
Yeah,
so I have a job, so my last live stream was like 3 weeks ago, so I don't do this that often as I would like to, but I do try to at least once a week, you know, try to come out and do this. And what drives me, like you said, what gets me up in the morning is I want to find out what this place is, and I actually want people to not be duped, you know, because we're being duped right now. We're being corralled like cattle, I guess you could say. We're being herded like cattle. We're just obeying these authority figures and just doing what they're saying, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to get the majority of people thinking, so that maybe we could do things for ourselves, so that we don't depend on dictators or people to dictate our lives. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we should be living like that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's super fair. Are you part of any organization?
No, I'm just by myself.
Just a man doing his thing.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
So one advice I will tell you: don't trust anybody online, especially when it comes to this subject. Don't even trust me. Trust your own common sense. Understand things for yourself, because there is a lot of fucking liars in this subject. Have you heard of the term controlled opposition? So I would say controlled opposition is like a double agent. So I would call them fake flat earthers. Again, all of these fake flat earthers with big channels are pushing this motionless flat earth bullshit, which is bullshit. You know,
Do you think they just do it to make money, or
they're doing it to
popularity,
make money and just to make flat earth look stupid. But again, the earth is not flat for the first thing. So anybody claiming, oh, flat earth, like again, you're just feeding into the propaganda. And any flat earthers that's doing that, to me, is a huge red flag. Yeah.
So you feel like for you just like really desire to understand what's true.
Exactly.
And you don't want people with authority positions to influence the common people.
Man.
Wow.
You understand? You're giving me chills, man, because you're pretty open-minded.
That's
man.
cool.
You understand? So again, I mean, you think there's a possibility that we have been lied to about what this place actually is, or
It
you?
could be a possibility.
Okay.
Because, like you said, if that was the case, why not water start working up with their proof?
What they're claiming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, then as well as walking, if you go about based physics, what about walking movements as well?
Sure.
Because you know how they be saying, oh, more people walk around Earth, the more it gets circled. But then at the same time, does that really make sense?
Right. No, exactly. So just before you go, another quick proof, another physical impossibility that they claim. They claim that outer space is a negative pressure system, like a vacuum, right? Next to Earth's pressure system. But physics, again, the second law of thermodynamics, having to do with entropy, shows us that two opposing pressure systems will always equilibrate unless you have a solid barrier separating the two. So like the tire in your car or the soda pop, you know, it has a different pressure, but as soon as you open it, a soda pop, or you pop or you put a hole in a tire, what happens? Equilibrium happens.
Is the expansion of a gas into a vacuum. I have in one of these bulbs some bromine, and in the other I have a vacuum. And if I open the tap between these two, you will see spontaneously the bromine rush from one to the other. Now that is the simplest change we can have, perhaps, because all that happens is a change in entropy. In this case, the expansion into a vacuum, nothing else is involved. There's no energy change, there's no temperature change, there's no change except entropy.
The air starts to rush out, right? So again, they're claiming that outer space is an environment next to the Earth's pressure without a physical barrier defies physics. So this idea of outer space and other planets out there, it's just religion. It's just a fairy tale, basically. So the Earth is a contained system. So we are being contained because we do have air pressure. In order to maintain air pressure, you need to maintain the air as well. You know, so the air cannot escape. You know, so the Earth is contained somehow. I don't know how it's being contained.
But it is somewhat.
Exactly. So we live in a kind of like a terrarium, if you ask me. Earth is like a machine, and it's a contained system basically, and we're within it, experiencing it, right? So what's outside of it?
We do not
don't
know because we're not there. Like, as long as if we was like seeing it for ourselves, then we could be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But since we are not
Yeah.
seeing it, how can we actually go about
Making claims about what's out there.
Isn't that really cool?
No, yeah.
I think
Here.
I've delayed my friend a lot.
No, yeah, no. Here you go, man. You can take this, check out my channel, and yeah, there you go, man. You have any questions, before you go?
Wait, so what do you think?
So the Earth is not flat, and because a lot of flat earthers are falling into this psyop that they believe the Earth is flat and motionless, which again contradicts physics because we experience a force when we're connected to the Earth, but that force is not down; it's up. So have you ever seen a helium balloon? When you release it, what direction does it go? It goes up, right? Why do you think helium balloons go up?
Well, I mean, when you hold the balloon straight and it's filled, it's like the bottom is where, like, let's say it's closed, so it's pushing itself upward with the air that is inside.
You're close.
Right?
It's actually the air outside of it that's pushing it up. So it's not the helium pushing itself. It's the air, because air is more dense than helium, right? So air is able to push helium up. But air is not more dense than this. I mean, it's less dense than this. I'm sorry. This falls or appears to go down because the air can't push it up. Because everything's in motion right now. You know, I don't know if you knew the pressure gradient. When you go on top of a mountain, there's a change of pressure. Like your ears pop, right?
Yeah.
So we have a pressure gradient because, again, you can only have a pressure gradient through motion. So again, the Earth pressing up against the air is creating that compression of air on the bottom, and less more the higher you go up. So that compression of air is showing you that there's a push, there's a force, you know what I'm saying? And that push can only push things that are less dense, like helium. But when we switch to water, again, anything that's less dense than water will get pushed in the same direction. That's the direction of the force. Buoyancy being that. You know what buoyancy is, right?
Yeah.
So like a ping pong ball will float in water, right? Because it's less dense, but it will fall through the air because it's more dense. And again, it all has to do with motion. So, you know, the Earth's motion. So again, flat Earth, anybody that claims the Earth is flat and motionless, I will personally stay away from them. You know, they're literally just there to perpetuate, just to make this thing go longer and just to make money. A lot of these foods are just making money online. I don't make any money, by the way. I'm literally doing this on my free time. Because a lot of people like to say, oh, you're just doing this for money, you know. And I don't make any money doing this. I actually lose money paying for parking, you know, coming out here, taking a day off work, you know.
Right.
So
That's really cool. Do you have any? Did you grow up with any sort of religious background?
I actually did. I grew up Catholic, but obviously I didn't follow it. You know, to me at a very young age, it just seemed too extreme. Like, I don't know, it just, the way they would sing at church, it just seemed very, I actually would get scared of being in that kind of environment of people just singing like mindlessly to an invisible God. Like that, it put me in a very negative state of being. So as a child, I never even liked it to begin with. And now as an adult, even more. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, Catholic, and I know I hear a lot that Catholics are very like culty, you know what I'm saying? Even more than Christianity and all that, you know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, again, religion is just there to control people at the end of the day. Because the fact is, nobody knows what this place actually is. That's just the fact, you know? As a whole, obviously.
Yeah.
We can understand things to a certain degree. That's how we're able to create technologies and cars, because we understand how substance behaves. But there is a limit to how much we can understand.
Yeah.
And again, water being level, that's a fact.
Yeah.
But what is water? What makes up water?
Yeah.
I don't know. Same thing with the air.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow. Dang.
so outer space, just real quick, is just a concept, just so you know. So again, second law of thermodynamics has to do with entropy. With high pressure will always move to the lower pressure unless you have a solid barrier separating them. So then scientists claiming that outer space is a negative pressure, like a vacuum, next to the Earth's pressure without a physical container, that defies physics. So this whole idea of outer space, you know, as a vacuum next to the Earth's pressure without a container is bullshit. So the Earth is a contained system.
Wow.
Yeah. So nobody knows what's outside of it either.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
So how many people do you have that you would say like also agree with your worldview?
Okay, so I would say there is like millions of people questioning the globe Earth. I would say millions of people that believe the flat Earth. Again, you shouldn't believe it. You should understand that it's level.
Yeah.
But there is millions of flat Earthers, but real people like myself that actually understand what's really going on. I would say there are maybe in the thousands. Yeah, maybe. It's very censored. Like the real level Earth, it's super censored. Again, this flat Earth bullshit, again, it's just there to keep people away. They're just making a lot of bullshit claims. And again, they're not sticking to basic physics. They're talking about explanations about what they see in a distance, and explanations about the stars, and explanations about shit that has nothing to do with the dimensions of the Earth. And they're just muddying the waters, making it seem like it's more complicated than it actually is.
Yeah.
It's very simple, man. Very simple.
Wow. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Yeah,
Sounds
it
like
is.
it.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
No, man. In a way, yeah, definitely. I mean, do you have any questions for me before you go? I mean,
No, I would just say, like, I understand what you're coming from.
oh, yeah, okay, definitely. Have you heard of flat Earth, right? You've heard of flat? So I would say flat Earth is a psyop, and there's a very simple reason why. So the Earth is not flat, it's level. So flat, yeah.
Because some people be like saying it's super flat, and I'm like, okay, I understand that, but you can't really say it's flat. If
We have mountains, we have ice, but here's the real reason why it's not flat. So over 95% of flat earthers are falling into this psyop, again, claiming that it's flat, because flat has nothing to do with orientation, and the Earth has orientation. And in order for something to have orientation, it needs to have motion. So the Earth is moving, it's pressing up against us right now, so that's what gravity would be. It's not a pulling force, it's a pushing force. So the Earth, again, it's a level plane that's moving. It's level relative to the vertical, which is a motion vector. So a lot of these flat earthers, again, this is a psyop, they believe the Earth is motionless. So they don't have an explanation for gravity, basically.
Yeah, plus then how are they going to be able to convey other people to saying it's flat Earth if they don't have the evidence?
Exactly.
Or saying so, and if they're saying something around those lines, then you're making more people possibly get some action more around it than anything.
Yeah. So again, motionless flat earthers, they don't realize, they make fun of gravity, right? Making being a pulling force. They basically have to invoke the same thing. If the Earth is motionless, then when you release an object, you need a magical force pulling it.
And that's gravity.
And exactly, but the reality is when you release an object, it's not accelerating down. It's the Earth.
Pushing it.
No, it's the Earth and everything that's attached to it moving up to meet it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so this doesn't go down. It only appears to go down because we're moving up with the Earth as well. So as soon as I let this go, it's the Earth that catches up to it. So that's what it is. The Earth is moving up relative to us. So you're not being pushed down to the ground is pushing up against it. Yes, that's the reality. And yeah, I mean, do you have any questions for me? I mean,
you seem to like know like most of it. Like that's really crazy. I mean,
no, yeah, I mean,
I
look,
didn't know most of this. Like,
no, yeah, a lot of people don't. This is super censored. So this is the horizon, 20 miles in the sky. Geometrically, how would you describe the horizon? Horizontal. Yeah, I would say the word horizon comes from the word horizontal. You know, it's in the word literally. So the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth, again, is through CGI images like this, cartoons, or through GoPro cameras that have a wide angle lens and warp horizontal lines. So curvature of the Earth doesn't exist, in other words. It's all crammer trickery.
So what's your claim?
My claim is the Earth is a level plane, but nobody knows the full dimensions of it or what's outside of it. Nobody.
So what is everything that NASA releases? And
I would say it's just bullshit, and NASA's just a religion. I would say NASA's just a church. Yeah, it's just a church.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of crazy.
No, yeah, it is.
Yeah, interesting. I was a chemical engineer at UC San Diego, so I was a very, very linear thinker, desiring understanding. Of course, I didn't grow up with any sort of religious background or anything like that. And then it was some friends my senior year of high school that had invited me to join them for, I guess, a regular Protestant Christian church.
Right.
And I wasn't really that interested, but because they're my friends, you know,
Right.
why not? Why not check it out?
You want to be rude.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah.
And man, it was a really interesting experience. I mean, I think my worldview the whole time before was, I don't know, live life for myself, try to be a good person, take care of myself. But man, when I walked in that church, there was definitely a lot of things that definitely stuck out immediately. Probably some similar to what you experienced growing up. But I did see some really cool like community.
Okay.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
these people are pretty committed to each other. That's really interesting.
Sure.
And I played a lot of basketball growing up, and we were a community, but it was really like, oh man, like this guy wants to be the star, and I want to be the star, and he wants to be the star, you know, and that like leads to us not being connected intimately.
Yeah,
in a lot of
it
ways.
leads to competitiveness, and then that could lead to something else.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I saw the community, and I was like, wow, that looks pretty distinctly different from something I've really personally experienced. That seems pretty attractive.
Right.
But at the same time, they're kind of making a lot of these truth claims, kind of like what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
About what's correct in the world and what's not. And I felt very offended, even just by the idea that they felt so sure that they had the truth. It's like, how could you know, Pastor? Not only that, but the pastor was saying things that he thought he knew about my life.
Oh man,
And that
crazy.
that I was a sinner.
Oh, man.
And that maybe I did more evil than I did good, and I just couldn't see it, and that if I didn't repent from my ways and change and follow Jesus, that I was going to hell.
Oh my God.
And it was like, yikes.
No,
you know, so I would say I didn't really enjoy hearing that at first.
No, yeah, definitely.
But man,
I mean,
being confronted with the moral truths of the Bible
okay.
as an engineer, it was like, okay, I'm gonna look at what's being presented, and I'm gonna compare it to my understanding of my worldview and what I hear others talk about.
And I'm glad you said moral truths, because a lot of people think it's objective truths, and it's more has to do with morality. That's true.
And the more I compared the moral truths of the scripture to the way that I viewed the world or people around me or what I saw, even if I didn't like it, I felt like this made so much sense. I felt like the Bible had a lot of backing. That was really interesting. And at the same time, I felt like I'd been trying to find love and acceptance in my life in a lot of ways. Basketball and women and school. And when those things weren't kind of delivering like I thought they had promised, and Jesus was offering the fullness of joy for his followers, I went, man, Jesus, I don't know if you're real. I don't know if that's real. But if it is, I don't want to miss that.
Right.
And it put me in this interesting wrestling place. Where coming into college was the first time I ever joined a Bible study and any of that. And man, for me, it sounds like we have a lot of similarities in how we want to think about the world and trying to understand.
Yeah.
And I became convinced, whether I liked it or not, that Jesus, I think you are real, and even if I hate accepting that I'm a sinner, I think maybe it is true.
Yeah. So this is one of the biggest cover-ups on Earth. It's what the Earth actually is. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, before you go, because I know you seem a little interested, like, real quick, the horizon, how would you describe the horizon geometrically, right?
How could I describe it? Because I just call it
horizontal?
Well, horizontal, it's blue, of course. There's sunlight coming in and out.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I would say it's horizontal. I would say the word horizon comes from the word horizontal. And horizontal meaning level, because horizontal has to do with orientation. Again, the Earth is not flat, it's horizontal. Exactly. So the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth, again, is through CGI images like this, or through GoPro cameras.
That makes it look
yes, the fisheye lens, exactly. So whenever you see like fighter jets, or people recording from high altitude, and they show curvature, it's usually 100% of the time it's a GoPro that they're using. Yeah, again, they're using that to give a false perspective. So, no, yeah, this is again one of the biggest subjects, on Earth. But do you have any questions before you go?
Not really.
You could check out my channel.
Oh, I would actually do that.
Yeah, give it a shot. And if you have any questions, I'd leave my email. You'll be able to see my email in the description if you have any questions or anything comes up. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a good day. Man, trust me. I came across this in 2016, so 8 years ago, online, ironically. Funny, I was looking into alien videos when I came across this, and I got recommended a flat Earth versus globe Earth video. And I thought it was bullshit, I dismissed it the first couple of times, but it kept getting recommended to me. So eventually I clicked it, right? Like, let's see what this is about. And it just started, making me question things. And eventually, what I've learned, don't trust anybody online. That's one thing that I've learned. Trust your own common sense and understand how reality works for yourself. For example, physics, how substance behaves. You know what I'm saying? Like the surface of water not bending. Anybody telling you that it does bend, show me. I don't want to see an image, because I could show you an image of me flying, and that's. But show me in person, in reality, practically. And that's a physical impossibility. I mean, you have any questions or no?
I think that's it for me.
All right, man. Here you go, man.
Real interesting. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Man.
All right,
thanks for the chat. Yeah, there you go. Real quick, I guess I'll just summarize
yeah.
my view of the Bible.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
like you said, like being a moral book, right? In my opinion, a lot of people take it as a historical book, again, an objective book, like historical events. I take it as more of a moral lessons, right? So I take the lessons behind the Bible, like behind the scripture, opposed to the literal stories. So when I hear the Bible talking about Jesus and being a good man, I would say they're just describing how we should all be, in my opinion. I would say Jesus is metaphoric to the man. So the man I am that I am, I would say that's the self. So again, I would say the Bible is metaphoric. Even Jesus said himself, he only spoke in parables, right? He only speaks in sayings. In other words, he's not speaking anything literal. Even he's telling you within the Bible. But again, so in my opinion, again, there is a lot of truth in the Bible, subjective truth about the self, how to treat others, how to be a good person, exactly. But when you start making objective claims like, oh, Jesus walked on water and he can transform wine or fish into
water into wine,
all that.
Multiply loaves.
I would say those are just metaphors as well, but people are taking them literal.
And physically that can't happen.
Exactly, that defies physics. Even when it comes to the Bible, anything that defies physics, I don't accept.
Wow.
But I take the lessons behind. I don't know if you heard, but supposedly the Bible was a children's book back in the day, and it was literally just to teach kids about morality. That's supposed, and again, that's a different side of the story.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know that either.
Wow.
So again, at the end of the day, they're good stories. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
But to take them literal,
that scares you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
No, yeah, fair enough.
Wow. How do you think the world was created?
Damn, that's a question that I don't think we could ever answer, man. I don't know.
It is easier to just say I don't know.
You want my real idea about that? Believe it or not, matter cannot be created nor destroyed. Right? That's a fact. So in my opinion, again, this is just my idea. It's not true. I can't prove it. But based on that fact, that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, in my opinion, matter has always existed. So whatever this God is, this entity, that God, in my opinion, came across the matter and created what we are experiencing now. So we're part of the matter, but somehow part of God as well, because we have consciousness. So where does consciousness come from? So there's two separate discussions. There's the objective and then the experiencer. So again, it could, in my opinion, it's a little bit of both. We're experiencing the objective, which has always existed, through a supernatural being like God, for example, that created this from what already existed. For example, you see a Tesla, right?
Yep.
What materials did we use to create that Tesla?
They already existed.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
Yep.
this whole experience, in my opinion, like the trees growing, fruit, even our bodies,
It was already here in some way.
Exactly, and God just manufactured it or engineered it and put it into motion. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
The prime mover, it would say
Yeah.
God.
So if the collective scientific thought is that a long time ago there was nothing, and then it started to expand and became something, do you believe that?
No, I would say that contradicts what I just said.
And you think that's because that maybe they have some incentive to share that with the rest of the world?
Well, I would say that this system, they want people thinking upside down. They want people thinking backwards. So again, they tell us the Earth, the water's bending, but it's actually level. You know? They tell us that the Earth is spinning, but we're not actually spinning. You know what I'm saying? Like they want us to think backwards. So again, them telling us that the Big Bang was nothing and then it exploded. That would be the opposite of what I just said. Again, that matter always has existed.
Right.
You know?
Because
So,
when you look at least people that not only are don't believe God, but are actually extremely opposed to God.
Right.
A lot of atheists. Their
yeah.
scientific conclusion is that it was simply just randomness that boom, something sprouted and then started to expand into the universe. And so when that's the collective thought, it seems like in the mainstream choice of thought for the beginning of the universe, there's kind of two choices, at least collectively, from what the average person would decide between. And that's either that randomness became something, or the Christian theological thought that something created something. And so for me, that just feels crazy. I've never seen nothing come from nothing before.
Exactly.
And so for there to be an intellectual being that has supernatural power that can create the beginning of the universe, if that is possible, like if that makes sense as a line of thought, that is to me what produces the idea that miracles in the Bible could happen. Like that's the only thing that makes me think, on my own normal thought, yeah, right. But if everything else I'm agreeing with, and I'm just not willing to agree with what I don't see, it's like, to me, when I was first starting to read the scriptures, it was like, oh, okay, I can see how if all of this is true, then and if there is a God, that makes sense how that could fit into that worldview.
So what I would say to that is, in my opinion, again, in my opinion, God can't even defy the laws of physics himself either. He has to follow.
He can't break the rules.
Exactly. He has to follow the laws of physics, and that's why gravitational fields or forces that accelerate things cannot exist, because that defies physics. The only way to create motion is you push. It's through pressure variance. So you need something pushing something else to create any motion. So the fact that we experience a pressure gradient here on Earth, we experience pressure underneath our feet, that tells me that the Earth has to be in constant motion, you know? And again, God cannot create, again, if this was a simulation, then you could create anything, like, imaginary physics, cartoon physics. If this was a video game, like some kind of simulation, then we would experience some cartoon physics, like, things that wouldn't even make sense, but happen, right? The fact is we don't experience that. Exactly. So that tells me that even God himself has to follow the laws of physics. He cannot defy physics either. But a lot of people think that God can create things out of nothing, right? A lot of people have that idea. But I would say that's bullshit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
in my opinion, based on that, something can come from nothing.
Totally. Oh, totally. Yeah. Wow.
So just real quick, I know you brought up atheists, because I used to be kind of atheist myself. The irony behind atheist is that it's actually a religion. Why? Because atheism is based on the idea that we came from nothing. The fact is, this is a creation. That's the fact. Right. And the fact is, we don't know what that is, what God is. Yeah. But atheists, again, they're basically atheists based on the idea that there is no God, but that's impossible. Yeah. So that's where the atheism becomes a religion, because it's based on an idea. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of ironic.
Yeah. They are a group. They have some sort of group
identity. You are a religion.
Yeah.
But they claim they're not. But, but you are.
It's easier to want to sit on that.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. So here's my channel, man. If you have any other questions.
Yeah, sure.
I come here every other week,
That's cool.
and I go to other places.
Are you William?
William, yes.
William Harlan.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you.
Yeah, so my email's on my videos on the description if you want to.
Is Natalie your wife?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. How long have you guys been married?
High school sweethearts. I'm 32,
Wow. Congratulations.
So
That's very sweet. That's very sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, of course, dude. Thanks for
For the chat, right? No,
Yeah,
thank you,
thanks
man.
for chatting.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, man. Just to have chat with people, man.
That's really cool.
Appreciate it.
That's really cool.
Really enjoy that, man.
Yeah. Grateful for it too,
Yeah,
William.
take care, man.